Hello, and thank you. Since the last time I saw you, which was several years ago, you gave me one piece of advice, and I carried that forward in a lot of different ways. I've had tremendous successes. I'm at a really good place on a lot of levels. I'm almost in a place where I've got so much going on, so many good friends, so many choices, enough money to do anything I want. And I have this one, I call it a zombie business. It's a business that I really put a lot of time and effort into starting. I had a great team of people. I thought I had somebody to fund it, and at the last minute, the funding disappeared. And so I let it go completely. And I was very passionate about it. And I generally don't do something unless I'm intensely passionate about it. And this has just come back up again in a way that kind of caught me off guard because I had laid it to rest. I've moved on to do other things. The thing I have in this is a team of really intensely creative people, but it's a lot like herding cats. And so my question is, how do I find my alignment within this group without letting myself get pulled in 16 different directions and losing sort of what I feel is my really driving force in getting this done?
You said some things to us that are pulling against each other, some sort of contradictory things. You talked about how passionate you are for this and how you sort of put it to rest. You called it this zombie business because it keeps coming back. But can you feel the push-pull in this? The easiest way to see this could be the Vortex version of it is active and expanding, but you've put to rest the physical version of it.
Yes.
But the Vortex version of it keeps bringing it back, but you've put to rest the physical version of it. So there's a tug of war going on within you, not it, but within you, that keeps you from finding, in other words, you're attracting from two perspectives. Your Vortex version is attracting everything for its ease and flow, but you're putting it to rest. It's a zombie business. Physical perspective has you pushing against it, and so that's why it can't flow. You need to make a decision. Are you going to put it to rest, or are you going to let it flow? But that's really not a fair question, because in the Vortex it wants to flow. So you've just got to decide to go with it and stop remembering how it's been. Stop telling it like it is or telling it like it has been, and start speaking of it as this thing that must have such intentionality in it and such life force in it. You've pulled this sled so far up the hill that now the ride is long and delicious, and you can't kill this business. So you've decided to just let it become the business that you have given birth to and launched so long ago.
Normally I would say...
We know this makes sense to you.
It does.
So now argue for your limitations with us.
I almost want to know more about how to be a better leader, actually, more than anything else.
But that comes next. You can't be a better leader to anything that you've got split energy about.
Okay.
Because you don't lead with your words or your action. You lead with your energy. And your energy is going this way, 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 this way.
I kind of got it so good that I'm like, do I still have this passion?
You do, but think of yourself as a pointer. Because the piece that was the easiest for us to hear is it feels like you're herding cats, which means they're all independent and going to do their own thing. That's the way cats are.
Yes.
And cats really don't give a rip what you want. They're going to do their own thing.
That's very
And really, if you will align with the attitude of the cats, that will serve you well, because leading anyone, guiding anything is like herding cats, unless you are going to be a domineering, controlling, something that you are not cut out to be kind of person.
Yeah.
So it's like what you're saying is, I'm not willing to lead in the way that humans seem to need to be led, but I'm also not willing to accept them as self-leaders. So I'm caught between two worlds. They're leading themselves inappropriately, And so it feels like my choices are be something I don't want to be, or have chaos. But there's another choice. You can expect them to figure it out and to do it well, and you can just point.
Oh, I like that so much. That feels so right to me.
So point in the direction of their success. In other words, trend, as the Vortex version of it is calling it. In other words, there's something going on here. You've got a really good trend here, and you might as well just line up with it, because it's sort of an inevitable successful thing that you're burdened with here. And we don't feel from you. Sometimes people would tell us something like this, and what we would feel from them is a need to prove worthiness through struggle, but we don't feel that from you. Or a need to control just for the sake of control. That's not what's going on in your vibration either. What it really is just your habit of thought about this is going in two different directions.
Because of the past stuff that I went through.
Because of the past.
Yeah.
That's true of almost everyone. Everyone who has a relationship or a business or a relationship with anything or anyone. People trend, the way we have said it through the years, is that most people offer most of their vibration in response to what they are observing.
Yes.
Instead of in response to what they are intending or desiring.
The intent that I bring to this is more of, and this is what led me in the direction of this, is I love to create playgrounds for adults where they can sort of become childlike. And that's been a really fun part of my life. And I got to a point where I felt like the people that I was involving with brought their egos to the table more than the sense of play. And that was what had me step back from it. How much do I get as a percentage of equity, and who's going to make what money, and who's going to divide up this responsibility. And so the idea of saying to them, hey, if you want to make the money, here's the opportunity, and you bring your genius to it, and I will set a framework for you to bring that genius. Is this a sort of, this seems more like a seduction of source rather than a sort of a pushing against something.
Let's step back from the details of that just a little bit and start with this absolute premise. What a good business. What a good premise for a business. Because replenishment is what matters more than anything. And most people don't replenish very well in their natural habitat for all of the reasons we just talked about. The needs of their family, or the needs of their work, or the needs of their environment. So most people have lost their ability to let go and naturally play. Esther sat at a table last night with friends at the Le Petit Chef. If you haven't been there, it's worth trying to get in, where it's projected from a ceiling and the table becomes a storybook, and it's delightful. But not only was it delightful in what it presented to them, they found ways to personally play with the table. They let their arms be tattooed from the projection, and their heads, they let bald heads be tattooed, and took pictures of each other. In other words, they took the game far beyond what someone else had decided that it should be, into something that was surprisingly delightful to all of them. But it's not everyone who has a playful nature, who says, oh, this is fun. How can this become more fun? So the premise of your business, that's what you're wanting to impart to anyone who plays with you, is that this business is based upon this premise. Fun is a very good point of focus, because fun is true replenishment. And until someone is replenished, then they're blocking most of the good stuff that would flow. And I really want, you could tell them, I want the fun, which is the intention of the business, to play out with each other. And I want playful characters involved in all of this.
Well, I have characters, that's for sure.
Jerry and Esther read an article, was an advertisement in a magazine on an airplane years ago. And the article said, we don't hire people at our hotel and tell them to be nice. We hire nice people. And so the attitude is, I don't hire people and instruct them to have fun. I hire fun people. But then here's another way of looking at it. I don't hire fun people. I'm a fun person, and that's all I can find.
Wow, yeah. That's really good. Thank you so much.
Really good.